Well, that can't be good for trout fishing. All right, welcome to the Urban Outdoorsman YouTube. We got a good one for you guys here today. We're up here in the San Bernardino National Forest. We're here to check on the status of the Santa Ana River. And why check on it? I mean, what's the point? Well, this used to be one of the prime creek fisheries in the San Bernardino National Forest. And as you know, this channel is main focus is fishing. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering what's going on up here in the San Bernardino National Forest. There was a fire not long ago. You could see some of the remnants up here, and maybe we'll throw you some drone shots later of that. There was a big old fire not long ago up in this area, and a lot of that ash and debris has washed down into this creek. But that's not really the only effect. I mean, the reality is we're in a big drought right now. It hasn't rained or snowed much up here in a couple of years, and not much over the last 10 years. We've had a couple of good years, but as you can see, this river is running real shallow and small. This is a river. I know you guys out there in maybe Colorado or Utah are looking at this thinking, man, there's no way that's a river. But yeah, I know it's looking more like a creek, and the reality is it is a river, and this is just what it looks like now. I mean, it's only early summer, and can you imagine what this is going to be looking like in late August or September out here before we get any rain? Man, I really hope we're looking at a monsoon season of some sort here by August or September, but I don't know, guys. Looking pretty bad. But we're gonna check it all out. We're gonna check on the stocking situation. They're supposed to be stocking this river, and I don't know how they can. I mean, it's looking real shallow. I don't know how many fish they would actually put in here, but if they did, we'll find a few of them and check it out. Otherwise, there are wild trout in here. This is a wild trout fishery, one of the unknown wild trout fisheries here in Southern California. And they're in here, but they're extremely shy. They're very smart, and they're very small. Most of those fish are 4 to 8 inches or less. I mean, some of those things are real small, but nevertheless, there is a wild trout fishery here, and we will not be targeting those fish. So if we happen to see them, we won't even cast for them. And you may ask, how do we know the difference? I know the difference. You could tell the difference in coloration between a planted trout and a wild trout. Wild trout have a much more natural look to the scenery, very light brown. The rainbows are real light. They almost have like a light brown slash tan look to them. They're not brown trout, but they are rainbow trout that just have adapted to the scenery under the water. And all the planted trout are much more blue, silver, the typical rainbow trout you see everywhere else. So anyway, let's get a fish in. We're gonna try some of these pools right here. We're gonna hike downstream and check on some of those pools, and then we're gonna drive around and see what the rest of the river is looking like. But we're gonna kick it off with this pool right down here, give it a couple casts, and we're gonna try in through here a little bit, and then maybe hike downstream about a mile and see what we see. All right, guys, stay tuned. We got a lot of good footage coming for you. See you in a bit. Nice fish. That's crazy. There he is. Seeing some some wild fish in here, and a stalker trout with them in this little pool right here. So this is an interesting feature here along the Santa Ana River. If you could look up, you could see how high up that ridge line is. That's about 25 feet above my head. And at one point, the water raged down here so fast and so fierce that it gouged out that cliff right there all the way to the top up there. That's pretty amazing. Big old 30-foot wave of water that came down here. Anyway, some of these pools look good. Let's see if we can give it a couple of casts. Not really seeing any fish in these pools like I did the wilds in that last pool, but we'll check them out. We'll check them out and throw a couple of jigs in there and see what we get. There's a pool right above me, and there's one right over here that looks good. Well, that can't be good for trout fishing. How in the world did somebody manage that? And why, if they did it on purpose, why would they do that? I mean, I could kind of see where they went skidding It looks like it was accidental. They were going too fast. They were coming down this road, and you could kind of see, yeah, I mean, they must have been going 60, 70 miles an hour. You could see the skid marks right through there, and off they went. Yeah, you screwed up, that's for sure. There's our trout fishery down there. Oh man, well, I'm sure it looks like they've already got them, so hopefully they'll figure out. Looks like they just literally jumped out and ran for it. Probably a stolen truck. It's a shame because these little Toyotas are in very, very high demand. Those are very, very reliable old trucks. But anyway, looks like a bunch. So here's another great pool right here, flowing really good on the upper stretch. Again, this is not in the wilderness. These are places that I'm showing you guys that you can drive up and hike a short way to see them. Not sure if there's any fish in that pool, but we're gonna give it a couple of casts and see what we can get. You never know. Kind of hard to tell what's in those pools with the shadows. But let's give it a couple of rips and see what happens. Not seeing any activity. We're gonna go check upstream and check out some of these right up here. That pool looks pretty fishy. We'll give that a couple of casts, see what we could get out of there. Gonna hop up on this rock and dip that jig right down in there and see what comes out. Ooh. Just had a fish, guys, just had a fish. Definitely fish in there. We're gonna adjust the line and hold the line itself with my hand, and that way we could set the hook with this instead of the rod. Ooh, just had a huge bite. The trick is getting that fish to get the hook, because the current is making that jig flap around and the fish are biting it without getting hooked. So we got to work on that. We're going to get one out of that hole for sure. we go, guys. We got him. First fish out of that hole. All right, let's get him off of there and release him. Got another one, guys. Oh, fell off. He's back in the pool. Little guy. He just hit that barbless jig right there. That's why he's coming off easy. Dented his head probably a little, but he's all right. All right, that's gonna wrap it up from the San Bernardino Mountains. As you can see, we're up here right now at Angeles Oaks. This is the Oaks restaurant up here, and it's a great place to stop by, get a little bite to eat. There's another great restaurant down there at Seven Oaks, in the city of Seven Oaks down there. There's a little resort town. But anyway, as you can see, the river is flowing. There are trout being stocked. I did see a lot of wild trout swimming around in there, very small, but they are surviving, those wild trout. And I'm really surprised there aren't more pools up there being maintained by Fish and Game, but I guess they're just kind of letting it go. It did have a really bad flood about, what, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. They had a really bad flash flood come through there and just wreak havoc on that whole habitat. But the wild trout are surviving and the pools look good. So if you're interested in fishing it or recreating, come on up. Just make sure you drop a few dollars in these local places. They could use your business, especially after the fire. You could see how dry the pine trees are right here in town. I mean, they're just starving for water. So anyway, it's going good. We're gonna check on that lower section here pretty soon, the lower Santa Ana, and see how that's fishing and what that's looking like. So if you're looking for weekly reports or how to find spots like the ones that you just saw me fish, go over to Patreon, sign up there, guys, and we'll give you directions to these fishing holes so you guys can get into them. Very fun spot for kids to catch fish. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys, from the San Bernardino National Forest. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.